Welcome back to She Asked podcast, Tools for Practical Hope. I'm your host, Anna McBride, and I'm so excited that you're here today. I'm joined by Christina Dwyer, the founder of Vitality Wellness and the creator of the Fearless Feminine Method. I love the sound of that. Christina's work centers on helping women come back to themselves, not by striving harder, but by learning how to prioritize their own well being without guilt. Her work bridges Eastern medicine, nervous system awareness, embodiment, and self leadership. And what I can't wait to hear more about is how she speaks about women who are capable, driven, and outwardly successful, but internally they are exhausted and disconnected. That sounds so familiar. Christina, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to She Asked.
Thanks so much for having me. I've been waiting for this talk forever now, I feel. I'm so happy to be here. So thank you for asking me to be on
Oh,
this.
you're welcome. I'm excited too. I've been looking forward to it. Before we dive into our work, we always like to begin with a story on our podcast. So I would love for you to share with our listeners what obstacles you've overcome and that helped shape you into the person and the coach that you are today. So tell us your story.
So I was thinking, I'm like, I don't know where I would start. This could be like a 2-hour podcast just on a story. But let's try to shorten it a little bit. Back in the day, when I was younger, I had always wanted to go into some type of medicine. I wanted to help people. I knew at my core, I wanted to help heal in some way. For me, I was going to go into Western medicine, the pre-med route, all of that. And then I had a significant change in heart when I was in college, and I wanted to delve more into the holistic side of things because I was always more into natural medicine, the body's natural healing abilities. And I decided for a few reasons. I was under a lot of stress, and I also didn't agree with a lot of things that happened in conventional medicine. So it was a little bit twofold that I tried acupuncture myself in Eastern medicine. And in the background of that, so that would be more of my professional education side story. I was in a very significantly abusive relationship that no one even knew that was the case. And what triggered me the most to go to acupuncture consistently was getting helping that helped me get through that relationship. I was physically abused to a point where I don't think I should be here I didn't think I'd be here to this point. And it was interesting because an episode that happened brought me to an acupuncturist office. And the next day, I had a back issue from that episode. I felt almost 100%. So I was like, there's something here in this medicine that it clicked to help me change my route into a more holistic style. Mind you, I was still dealing with that background situation as I went into school for what I do now, which is a background in holistic healthcare with my master's in Eastern medicine. That pushed me into a more holistic route on how to learn how to heal the body. Then I had gotten into, how do you start a business? I'm going to fail. What am I going to do? I got to a point actually where while I was in that previous relationship, I actually was homeless for a little while. No one knew about that. And I was still trucking it to school by 7 a.m. and bartending at night. And then I'd hit the exams at 8 a.m. to get through the schooling process so that I can graduate and then hopefully get a job in what I do now. Fast forward a little bit. Thankfully, I was able to get back on my feet. So that was me at an all-time low, going to build myself back up while maintaining this facade of everything's okay. So I was already burning myself out. So think about self-abandoning at that point. I ended up thankfully having some grit in me to start my own practice out of another medical office where I rented some space from, and then I jumped ship into opening up my own space and building out my own office. And that was a huge success to me. And I never thought I'd be able to do that. So I was at the same time, I was married, and was about to go through a very traumatic divorce, which from the outside, no one knew that was happening. So I was just holding it all together. I think that pain transformed into power for me to push forward in what I was doing, but no one really knew that that was my driving force at the time. Fast forward to a little bit more, I've now been in practice for 14 years this upcoming year. and it's been a journey. I get goosebumps as I talk about it because saying 14 years is wow. I can't, and it's crazy because I can't say that I'm where I thought I'd be or where I'd want to be, but I'm grateful for where I'm at right now. And it's been a journey of ups and downs, huge moments of personal development, huge feelings of failure, but then realizing there's no such thing as failure. Definitely moments of burnout, ups and downs taking care of my kids. I have two little ones. I have a 13-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl. I'm a single mom on my own. Yeah, I feel like I've been through a lot of, I would say, life experiences that truly shifted my identity and made me hit a lot of rock bottoms. But I attempted to use those to catapult me forward. And I'm really grateful that in that process, I've been able to change my mindset, especially in the last, I want to say, 2, 3 years since actually we met at the retreat that we were at a while ago. And a little bit before that, I had started like my, why am I the way I am? How did I get into this type of medicine? Why am I doing this? What is this my purpose? And also a big thing was like when I'm in practice with women at my office, I see myself in them a lot and I see the past version of me. And then I see their potential and what they can be. And it inspired me then to create the Fearless Feminine method because I was like, I need to impact more women because if I've been through what I've been through and I can accomplish this and still keep going, even though I don't feel like I'm at the point, I don't feel like I'm ever at my highest potential. That's probably an issue I got to work on. But if I can impact women in that way, like, I want every woman to feel, like, this good at every moment in their life. Yeah.
That's beautiful. What a beautiful story. Also, just so amazing what you've overcome to be here today. I can only imagine what gifts you bring to your clients, just in terms of perspective, and as well as what you know, what it means to survive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like what you're attempting to do or what you are doing, not attempting, but are doing with your clients is showing them how to move from survival to thriving.
Loving. Yeah.
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 Wow. Through things that aren't small, like taking care of the nervous system, taking care of your commitments to yourself. These are not small things. And you had 2 children. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
They keep me going, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're adorable. They're
Thank
adorable.
you. Thank
You know,
you.
you work with women who are high functioning, capable, and often very successful, tired and also disconnected. So tell me, what do you see as the common thread that runs through these women as they come to you?
I definitely see women giving up prioritizing themselves,
Mm,
and this, like, programming that I think at some point we're all subject to thinking we need to give to others before we give to ourselves. Or we need to work harder to prove our worth. Or yeah, I would sum it up with that, that's a very common thread. And all of that heavy emotional baggage from that gets stored in our bodies. And that's where what I do at my brick and mortar office and what I do through like mindset work with my online clients, we have to transform that energy in some way. And because if it gets stored in our body, it creates actual physical disease, which is where I see
wow.
women who have hormonal issues can't get pregnant or are having trouble getting pregnant or just irregular cycles or high anxiety, insomnia, like all of these. Cause I'll ask and I'll dig deep to like the root. I'm like, hey, what happened like back
Mhm.
in childhood that could have triggered you to grind and hustle and not stop and just be present and take care of you.
So mention a little bit, you mentioned it, but I want you to get a little deeper. What are they carrying that they don't often see in themselves?
Let's see. I think that they're not seeing their true potential and their power. They're not remembering how unique and special and worthy they are just as they are. They're trying to prove something in some way. And
Okay. So they're performing. They're performing
I see
as
that
opposed to seeing their worth.
that was me. That was me for so long in survival mode, which
Yeah.
still struggle. I won't lie about that. So that's a common
Mm.
thread.
Okay. Now, you've said that your work is about helping women come back to themselves. What does that actually look like in practice?
I would say that when my patients, clients come back to me and they've told me how this is going to sound simple, but they're like, I said no to something this week. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. They're like, and I felt good about it. Cause I'll have
Mhm.
these little sessions with my clients where, yes, we'll talk about your physical symptoms and then I'll check in with them about their personal lives and what I like to call like the lifestyle counseling that we do in the lifestyle coaching. And they're like, I said no to this because it didn't feel good, like in my body. And I was like, bravo. That's the type of boundaries that's like you're prioritizing you, you're trusting yourself. And then you
Yeah.
fill up your cup from that. So that's just a small example.
I love that. I love that. Learning how to prioritize you when they're so used to putting other people
Yeah.
first, caretaking for other people. What is it about women that we feel like we have to give care to others ahead of ourselves?
I think it's instinctually ingrained in us, and it's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. I love being a nurturer.
Yeah.
It's like inherent in me that I want to help people. I had to realize the line between I can help, but I need to help myself first.
Yes.
Right? How am I gonna help
Yes.
everyone and show up as the best version of me if I'm
Mm,
not giving to myself first and
right.
setting my own standards and realizing my own worth? And I think a lot of that, we abandon ourselves in that process, and we're supposed to be like martyrs for our job, for our family, for our kids, and
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from? Where women think like they have to give from their fumes or put everybody else first without even considering what they need.
some may think that we're looked down upon if we don't, or it's to prove something to others,
Okay.
prove that
Wow.
we can be loved, prove that we're
Mm,
like some validation of some sort. I know that for me, I would be the savior, be the fixer. That was
yeah.
in relationships. That was even in my work because I overgive and I'm like, I'm burning out. I can't be of service to anyone if I'm not good.
Yeah. And you mentioned earlier that you talk with them about what they bring into their adulthood from their childhood. Talk a little bit about what that kind of conversation looks like with your clients, because I can imagine knowing what I brought into my adulthood, that
Yeah.
this may get a little heavy sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to break that shell open a little bit because people think they're coming to me for, I'm just coming here for my anxiety or stress,
right?
my fertility.
And they're used to a facade, right? They want you to see them in a certain
Right.
way.
Right.
Yeah,
And I'm like, no, we're gonna take those barriers down. I think people are surprised by me asking that, like those things, but then when I explain it in a way of how our nervous system, like our subconscious mind stores things that affects our physical body, then
right.
they understand, oh, I have to treat and heal and understand the root of this, or else I can't get to the potential and health that I want to get to in my mind and my body and my spirit, whatever the case may be. So,
Successful women are not known for being vulnerable.
mm,
Like, they have to really have a wall up
mhm.
in order to maintain their place or what they want people to see them as. Do you find that's something that you're coming up against or have you even experienced in yourself?
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
talk a little bit about that.
Gosh, we could talk a little bit about that. I felt that I was always in survival mode, and in order to survive, I had to be successful. And that put me always into what I like to call a more masculine energy. And I
Mm.
was very like direct, leading, take action. But I know that there was a disconnect because I didn't have a balance of that feminine energy being able to like just sit and receive and be nurtured. Like I needed to have that balance. So I noticed that in a lot of, I would say, high achieving, successful women that I work with, because I saw it in myself until I was aware of it. Then we can change it because you can't really change what you're not aware of. So for sure.
Wow, great insight to bring to this. We're talking about shifting our perspective about what it means to be vulnerable as well as successful at the same time. Like they can go together. One is not the antithesis of the other. And we've talked about how these conversations will go. So tell me a little bit about what it's like. Give me an example from a client, like some tools that you would recommend that they use in order to stay in touch with this new version of themselves.
Okay, so a little talk that I usually give my new clients, especially for working a lot on mindset and just shifting perspective, is I ask them, I'm like, if you were the version of yourself that, say, a year or two from now that you aspire to be, or say you have everything you want in this life, the
Mhm.
health, the wealth, the relationship, the baby, the boyfriend, the husband, whatever you want, the business, whatever the case may be. I ask them, how would she act and what would she do? And I ask them like, okay, what are some qualities of her? Is she confident? How would she make decisions? How would she start her day? How would she go to the gym? How would she run her business? How would she take care of her kids? And those questions trigger them to think, oh, like I would be doing stuff differently. And
Yes.
the next thing I would tell them is, as much as you can, be intentional throughout your day and ask yourself, how would she move? And then that helps shift that perspective of that old identity into that new version of themselves that they aspire to be. And people then see that their actual physical bodies change over time when they change this mental internal aspect of themselves.
Yeah. So it's like you invite them to see it through their
Mhm.
imagination, and
Yes.
then invite them again to revisit those qualities that they've defined about this version of them, and to do that over and over so that it becomes part of them, I imagine.
Creating like a
Yeah.
conscious loop in their brain and basically rewiring who they are. And then
Yeah.
uh,
Wow.
external changes in their life.
That's really great. That's great. So you talk about women being conditioned to override their needs and doubt their intuition. We talked about where this pattern may come from. Let's talk about how the maybe the fearless feminine method addresses that.
So I think that a big part of it is prioritizing yourself
Mm,
and not abandoning your own needs and being very conscious of when you're doing that. I tell my clients, even like an example of, give yourself 5 minutes in the morning, even before your kids get up, that you better make your coffee first before you go make their breakfast. And it sounds so simple, but it's just that those little habits that can be formed to prioritize you, as like what I just said, or if you movement is a big thing for me, fitness, movement, moving the body. I usually will tell a patient or a client, I want you to set a goal of how much movement can we get in a week, or how accountable can we stay to that? Because that's prioritizing you. So I feel like when women do that and they start to prioritize themselves, they start to build more confidence. They start to build more trust in their own decisions and
mm,
therefore then trusting their own intuition on how to move through life.
okay. Explain a little bit about what the fearless feminine method is about. Is it a coaching style? Is it a mindset change?
It is a coaching style program where you have one-on-one sessions with me and then also like Zoom sessions like this, and then we'll do calls throughout or through a texting system. But I give weekly rituals, habits, things to work on. And clients can bring to the table what they want to work on, or we have these sessions where we'll deep dive into, like I said, like childhood and what's gone on there and how that's shaping your decisions now in life and how to rewire that through different Eastern medicine tactics, different incorporating more movement into your life or mindfulness, meditation. And also, a big part of it is creating that new version of you. In the first month or so of working with someone, we're molding that new version of them and we'll have a specific trigger for them of how does she move? What's going to remind you every moment of how she moves through life? What does she do and how does she make choices? How does she advocate for herself? It's about empowering women, about bring who they are at their core. They don't have to fit into like societal norms of giving up and self-abandoning themselves
Oof.
in order to feel like they're worth something. I was there. I did that myself for
Yeah.
years, too many years. So I want to bring what I learned through that to women so that they don't have to take the longer course and can have more of a fast track. It's still going to take some work, of course, it's some deep work, but
Right.
there's some more guidelines and you have someone in your corner that's been through it, we'll say, for lack of a better term, to help give you some perspective when you need it.
Wow, that's so powerful because I feel like you're meeting your clients where they are
Yeah,
and showing them where they can go and inviting them along the way. And that I believe is what most women would love. We would love to have a roadmap on how to become who we want to be.
so true.
Yeah.
I
And
think
and a guide.
yeah, yeah, totally. A guide, a little GPS system, it's nice.
Right.
But
That's right.
everybody's roadmap's gonna be a little different. I think that's why
Mm.
what I do, I love because it's everybody's journey is unique. So I like to meet them where they're at and just see, and then they are surprised at how far they actually can go and how much better they feel about themselves. And then that fills me up when I see that with other women.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love what you said about n them not needing to fix themselves, that what they need to do is stop abandoning themselves. What are some ways women abandon themselves that feels normal or societally acceptable?
I think that one of the biggest example is motherhood. A lot of women abandon themselves in motherhood, and I see that every day in my office.
So
And
give me a couple examples of that. What would that look like? Motherhood.
I have some clients that they won't come in because maybe they can't leave their kids for that long because it's too long. And actually, we've told them you can bring your kids in the office. I have no problem with that. So I
Oh,
make that a non. I'm like, we're low barrier to entry here for you to help heal yourself. There's things like that, or just never not actively prioritizing their calendar for them versus over like their kids. Example, I have to use myself as an example because I can relate where I have created my own self-care schedule, being like my time at the gym and to do my meditation and whatnot before any of my kids' activities and
mm,
also my work schedule. And it used to be around. And I had a
yeah.
pretty demanding kid schedule and work schedule. So,
I bet it took
oh,
some getting there. It took
so
some getting there.
when I've
Yeah.
suggested that to patients and clients, they're like, "I could never do that." And I'm like, "Yes, you could. I could. If I could do it, you could too. Let me help
Yeah.
you. Let's just pick out how we can prioritize you 4 times a week in a day. Like, how can we do that? What feels doable to you?"
What do you think women are most challenged with around that? Is it what have you been able to discover what that is that they are challenged to access?
Guilty. I think they feel guilty. They
Mm,
feel guilty for taking care of themselves or investing in their own self-care and thinking it's a luxury, not an essential. And to be quite honest,
wow.
not a luxury, it is an essential. It's an essential to take care of you first.
Yeah, isn't it
Oh,
something
good.
how we have, as women, have grown to devalue
Yeah.
our self-care?
Mhm.
And I know we've been encouraged by that, and yet at the same time, it's as
Yeah.
you mentioned, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah. You can't.
Yeah,
Can't pour
and
from the
yet
cup. That's what I say. Yeah.
yeah, full cup. Alright, so you say that you don't just work with mindset, you work with identity and embodiment. Can you explain the difference between knowing something intellectually and actually embodying it?
So we can be aware of things, but I think until we make active choices from that version of ourselves, then we're embodying it, if that makes sense. A patient needs to come to my office to get treatment.
Mhm.
Did they actively make the appointment weekly and stay consistent and do it and embody their self care? That's the difference right there. That,
It's almost like a bit of a discipline or a
right.
practice,
It,
right?
yeah, it's a discipline to yourself. It's a discipline to yourself.
Mm,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I know that was something I was challenged with. And you say that so many women say, "I know I should slow down,"
Yeah.
but their nervous system doesn't know how to feel safe doing that. So, how do you help women move from awareness into regulation and embodiment?
I have to think of like how I did this with myself and how I continue to because I still find myself in like fight or flight, have to
Mhm.
go do. But I think that it's actively being present and like sitting in a moment and talking myself down. And to my patients, I say, take a minute, do a little breathing, talk yourself down, ask you where do I need to be this active or this much in hustle mode right now. And what's the worst that could happen if I wasn't? That's how I shift it too. What's the worst that can happen if I wasn't?
Wow.
What's that can happen if I don't do this next task, if I don't push through on this next job, if I don't do this for my kids?
Mm,
Like, and why would I feel that way? And just keep asking questions until you get
okay.
rid of it. Not
Okay.
to say that's not gonna be uncomfortable. I feel like when our nervous systems are in this state of grind, hustle, fight or flight, go, it feels abnormal to be calm. Like, it
Mm.
feels unsettling, and that's when I feel like patients come in and they're like, "Oh my god, I did what you said, and I am so anxious." I'm like, This is where we need to sit through the turbulence a little bit until the plane gets to, like, higher level, and it's a smooth ride from there." So,
Okay.
no.
Yes. Being okay with the discomfort that
Yeah.
comes along with change and growth,
Mhm.
perhaps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be scary. It can be scary to stop doing things the way you've always done it.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
Incredible. That's great. It's great that there's a place where people can go to have these conversations because I don't know of many acupuncture or Eastern medicine places that actually promote nervous system awareness and lifestyle changes to support the way you want to be in your
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Different at my office, I'm not gonna lie, because I feel that's why I actually had rebranded with the name wellness and not just acupuncture, because I feel like there was
Mm,
so much more I was doing in the office with clients that I wanted to make people more aware of. I'm not just gonna poke you and you're gonna heal. There's some deeper work to be done here, and
right.
the long-term reward of that is, once you stick with it is you won't regret it.
Yeah. Awesome. So, how does a woman begin to redefine her standards? What will she no longer negotiate in her life, relationships, or work? What are some examples you've come across?
I think that when a woman starts to prioritize herself, she sees how things in her external world were not serving her, and
Mm,
she becomes more aware of, I guess, what she deserves, what she doesn't deserve. I speak from personal experience that when I started to prioritize myself more, I understood my worth, what I deserve, what I don't deserve. And I then, from that, the next step was setting my boundaries, which was another uncomfortable process. Setting boundaries in general to know, like, that I come first regardless, than everything else. And then that helped me more trust myself, become more confident, and move different. So,
yeah. Again, an area that seems so foreign to women, boundaries.
boundaries. Yeah. Boundaries.
Yeah. It's almost like we were never given permission to say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And own it, own our no's.
Yeah. And be okay with it and be okay.
People being upset.
Yeah. People pleasing. That's a whole nother podcast. But yeah, I feel like when we're taught to not say no because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. My stance is, of course, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, but oh, am I hurting myself in the process if I don't?
Abandoning yourself in the
Right.
process of pleasing them.
And that's
Yeah.
the boundaries. And yeah,
Yeah. I feel when we're talking about successful women, right? It's always with a cost,
yeah.
is what you hear anyway. Like you can't have it all. And I'm wondering, that seems such a bizarre way of looking at things, and yet this is our norm, right? Because we've been brought up in a world that patriarchy is at play. So, how do we create a a change there where women start having more connection with the feminine side and still see that as a part of being successful?
I think it first starts with just changing the belief that you can have it all, that you're limitless. There's no need to overcomplicate that idea. I don't think that we can put a cap on, if I'm a mother, I can't be successful. If I'm a successful entrepreneur, I can't be a good mother or a good wife.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think you can have it all. You just have to have your own confidence. You have to have your own boundaries. You have to understand the right support system that you have around you. Yeah. I feel like that's another thing where another word that always comes to my mind is like, you're limitless. You're limitless. I once was talking to someone once and I was like, they're like, the sky's the limit. And I said, I'm going to go beyond the sky. Like, why does the
Mm.
sky have to be the limit?
Oof. Yeah.
I think that we're taught that it's one or the other.
Yeah, it's usually a trade-off. And I think what I heard you just say, which is something else that I feel women really struggle with, is asking for help. Talk about a support system.
Yeah.
That suggests that we actually have to involve other people in our success stories.
Vulnerable as well at that too. Yeah.
Yeah, be willing to ask for help, which I know is something I've struggled with.
I was just going to raise my hand. Into a choir. People
Yeah.
like, we know you don't like to ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a struggle that women have is asking for help, and especially the women that I've seen, and I know this myself, but I've come to realize there's nothing wrong with needing help and receiving help.
Yes.
I'm any better of a person if I was to do things alone.
Right.
It actually means that I'm more real of a person because, hey, I'm admitting like I'm human and I can't do it all. And I'm appreciating and loving and receiving the support. And I will be the first one to admit I've had a very hard time with that because I've been on my own for so long. And it was only in the last few years that I was like, I started getting my circle got smaller, which I don't mind. Then the support I got from them expanded. And
Okay. So it's
I
probably learning what your real resources were,
right,
human resources, the ones that were reliable and the ones that were really not only reliable, but supporting you in the way that you wanna be
exactly.
supported. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that's what I've had to do. I've had to pare down the ones that were not serving me and build on the ones that were.
Yeah.
And it begins by asking for help and involving them because I feel like that's something that we overlook as women,
Yeah.
is that it's not a failing or failure to involve other people in your success story.
So
Yeah.
so true.
Yeah.
I feel
Wow.
like we're always asked, people like, "How are you?" And everyone's, "I'm fine. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm great." And
Mhm,
the
mhm.
scenes, they're like dying inside. They're
Right.
struggling. But
It's a performance, right? That's the performance we
I wanna
talked about.
know, how are you? Really, how are you? Like the real
Mm,
because if so, if I have the energy to help, I wanna help because I know that in time, I'm gonna be able to like karmically, energetically, I'm gonna receive that help back in some way too. So
yeah, you're talking about honesty
mhm.
and trust as well as vulnerability. These are no small things
Yeah.
in the world. And when we're trying to incorporate that into our success story, it can seem
It
daunting.
is, it's daunting.
Yeah. Yet I know it in you, like you are really stepping into your next chapter. So let's talk about that. You mentioned about community, more leadership, and more visibility. So spend a little time talking about what you're personally practicing, what you teach. Like how are you doing that self-trust work and self-leadership work?
I would say that I'm very integral to my word and accountable to my
Mhm.
actions. So I do a lot of like self check-ins of if you want to reach this higher level version of you, are you acting the right way, Christina? I have that talk, that internal talk with myself.
Okay.
Would you tolerate this? If you really truly loved yourself, would you
Mm.
tolerate this and go through this experience or make this choice? That's a big thing that I'm working on even more. I invest a lot in my own self-care, my own traveling, my own fitness journey, which has been huge for me too, because I'm very much into movement is medicine. And I feel like that's been one of the best medicines to keep my nervous system in check. And that's when I get the most, I would say, intuitive thoughts and ideas and creative ideas for business, even too. I would say in store for me personally, I'm really focusing on investing more in myself. And I think another thing that comes to mind is we touched on this a little bit, but feeling safe wherever I'm at. Because that was something that each year I have a word that I like want to focus on. And this year I realized like I've struggled a lot of the roots of my own issues w- were because I didn't feel safe at any point in life. And I would
Okay.
be in survival mode and not feel safe. So I've been consciously working on personally that you're always safe, you're always supported, things always work out for you, and there's no need to be fearful. which is again why I named my program Fearless Feminine Method.
Okay. So what is your word for 2026?
Safety,
Safety. That's a great word. It certainly is a part of what I would think of we would need when we're talking about our nervous system.
for sure.
And we have to do that self-talk, don't we? In order for our nervous systems to grow and trust that we can take care of it. Yeah, to move from survival
You can
to
sur-
thriving. Yeah, wow. Outside of these personal practices that you're doing, what are some things that, our listeners can look forward to seeing coming from you this year?
So I'm planning on creating more events, actually
Mm.
in office events at my brick and mortar business, Vitality Wellness in Park Ridge. I'm also in the midst of creating, I want to say like a community group. I haven't really come up with an exact name for it yet, but I want a space where women can join me and we can talk about these types of things, how to prioritize themselves, how to practice better self care, and just ideas and things that come to them that maybe I've had life experience with that I can help them with, or they need other women that are supportive in that community. So I want to, at some point, create an online community through the Fearless Feminine Method for people to join. I definitely am doing a lot of like cross collaboration with like other wellness inspired individuals that I really love. So there's a lot. I have a lot on the books. I think last year I invested a lot in me, which
Mm.
was fantastic. But now I feel I'm ready to, I want to create more impact outside of just last year was filling up my cup a lot, we'll say.
Ye
And I want to
yeah.
pour over this year more.
Yay. I can't wait to see what that looks like. Because I've heard so much about the programs you have there at your office. They are very interesting, and I can only imagine they're just gonna continue to be like that.
Sure.
So for women that might be listening, because we have a lot of women who are our listeners, and someone who might be capable, successful on the outside, quietly exhausted and disconnected on the inside, what do you most want her to know about choosing herself?
I want her to know that it's okay to prioritize you. And
Mm,
there's nothing else that should come before you. There's only one you. There's no other soul on this earth that will ever have the same impact imprint here than you. So, prioritizing you, you will trust me because I say this to myself and I know this because I've lived it. You will
mm,
see your external world shift in such a deep, profound way when you truly know that you deserve to put yourself first and that taking care of you, your self care, your mindset, your physical body, everything else comes second to you. And then you'll
mm.
see everything works out. And you'll see the people around you, how you'll be a light for them too. That will inspire others. So
Wow.
I think I would leave women with that, that give yourself permission to just prioritize you. And that's it.
I love that. I love the idea of us putting ourselves first, like we matter. And I can hear like that is something that we don't think about. Again, going back to permission, right? We don't give ourselves permission to put ourselves first. I'm grateful that you're carrying that message. So, for the people who want to learn more about the Fearless Feminine Method or what all the goings on at your brick and mortar, right? Vitality Wellness, tell my listeners how to get a hold of you.
So you can follow us on Instagram. Our business page for Vitality Wellness is Vitality Wellness 1111. You can also follow my other personal page, which has more fearless feminine ideas on it, which is Xtina D underscore wellness queen. And then our website, which also has fearless feminine method info on it, is vitality-wellness.net online.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. I want to thank you for joining me on She Asked podcast. It's been a pleasure chatting with you as always, Christina. And for everyone who's listening, thank you for tuning in to She Asked, where healing meets practical hope. And until soon, be well.